We don't know exactly what's in the bipartisan immigration deal yet, but what's been revealed has closely aligned with what Republicans have been demanding. Will they give this up? Will they actually give this up for Donald Trump?
Well, it certainly looks so, because it sounds like they're more interested in having it as an issue than to solve the problem. And I think that's why Senator Lankford's comments are so interesting. This is a conservative Republican from Oklahoma who says, look, we have an opportunity to actually make tremendous progress in solving the problem that we Republicans have said is this existential crisis to the country. And instead, we're going to punt it because Donald Trump wants to run on this issue. So what you're seeing is a very interesting strategy by the Republicans. The whole impeachment is designed to highlight this issue, to have a show trial. But at the same time, they are very openly saying that we are not actually interested in solving it on their own terms. This is not Democrats saying that this is a good deal. This is Republicans who are saying this is what we wanted. This is what we can do. And it is, it is the Chaos Caucus in action, a party that is really uninterested in governing, but also uninterested in actually dealing with the problems of the country.
I don't know if you can hear Congresswoman Waters sort of amening you, Charlie, with that. But Basil, Donald Trump says he will take the blame if the border deal does not become law. How can Democrats effectively convey to the American people that he owns this loss?
You know, it's interesting, and I don't. Representative Waters said everything that I could ever possibly say on this issue and said it very well. So I'll just add a couple of quick points to it. One, that it is true that President Biden has done more in terms of executive orders than Donald Trump. But what is the big difference here? The difference is that Joe Biden is not tackling the immigration issue using the politics of pain and cruelty. That's what Donald Trump does. That's what the Republicans do. Do I have to remind everybody of the Muslim ban and the chaos that he wrought with that? That is the kind of show, the kind of spectacle that Donald Trump is saying that he wants to inject into this process, not just as the nominee, but certainly if he would have become president. He's saying that you haven't seen anything yet. And I think that's the point that Democrats need to, and I'd love to see, and I know that Democrats, will hit him on, which is that, look, we don't engage in the politics of pain. We are doing this in the most humane way possible to not only make sure that we are treating the folks that are in our country undocumented or at the border in a way that that affects their humanity, but we also want to find a path forward. It's interesting to me that Republicans are saying that they want to blow this up, but just a couple of weeks ago, there have been reports that they're concerned at the fact that they're running in a year where they've actually done nothing in Congress. So this could be something that they could actually do and do well, which hasn't happened in decades. But clearly, fealty to Donald Trump is a lot more important.
Well, Congresswoman Waters, speaking of doing nothing, Congress must also deal with two funding deadlines that are coming up before a government shutdown. The first one on March 1st, then the next one on March 8th. Is it possible that Donald Trump will also try to derail a long-term funding deal, given that Super Tuesday, as we see there on the calendar, is March 5th?
Yes, absolutely. And he has with him Marjorie Taylor Greene, who says shut the government down. They're not willing to compromise. They have offered terrible budget cuts. As a matter of fact, I'm very concerned. They want to cut 80% from Title I education. They want to cut Social Security. They want to demolish all of the work that we've done on HIV and AIDS and on and on and on. They don't care. They are basically threatening our democracy, undermining the Constitution, doing whatever it takes to give Trump control of this country. We are in a dangerous situation.
You know, yesterday, Luke Broadwater of the New York Times was in that very seat you're sitting in right now and said that as a result of kicking the can down to March 1 and March 8th, that Speaker Johnson is on thin ice with his caucus. Your Democratic colleague, Congresswoman Susan Wild, indicated that she's leaning toward voting to save Speaker Johnson if conservative hardliners try to oust him with the motion to vacate. It only takes one person.
Not again. Not again.
But would you vote to save Speaker Johnson?
No, I'm not. I've made up my mind that if he can't get his votes out of his MAGA Republicans, then he can't come to us at the same time that he's threatening us on border. He's threatening us on so many things, but wants us to bail him out. I will not vote to bail him out. And I think there are a lot of other members who feel as I do. We've got to have some compromises. We've got to have a House that's going to work together in a bipartisan way to solve the problems of this country and to do what the people needs to have done. And that is have a government that's responsible to the needs of these people. And so I want to tell you, our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, has said, people over politics. And that's our theme. And we're not going to allow Johnson to need us, lean on us to bail him out because he can't get his own MAGA Republicans to vote with him. No, I will not vote for him.